This is the Authentic Dating series brought to you by Ahmad and David,
where we explore what it takes to have a dating life you're excited about.
Hey guys, I'm David.
I'm Ahmad.
And this is the Authentic Dating series. So I'm David, and me and Ahmad are two former dating coaches that have done a ton of kind of self-development and helping men in the area of dating and just general kind of life improvement and self-betterment. So we kind of decided a few months back that we'd like to create a podcast where we can kind of share our knowledge with the world and just be of service to people and helping them what they're dealing with in life.
Yeah, and we combined our experiences of being dating coaches with self-development and better understanding of like who we are and how that impacts everyone else around us and our relationships and just connecting the dots.
Yeah. We just see that, connection is something that we were all missing in life a little bit at the moment, where we're working a lot, we're busy, we're living in big cities and so forth. Like us, we live in London. So here we are. And today's episode is going to be, we're going to kind of go through, how to be a nice guy and still get the girl, to kind of meet women and be your best self out there. Because I think there's a bit of a myth amongst, in the dating world that to meet amazing women and to meet them and spend time with them, that you kind of have to be a bit of a bad boy. You have to be kind of, a bit of a bad boy, basically.
Yeah, there's an idea that you have to be a certain way.
Yeah.
A certain way.
There's a certain way.
Yeah.
And usually you're not that way.
Yeah. If you're not that way, then you need to become that way. And if you don't become that way, then you don't stand a chance.
Exactly.
Because someone who is that way will come along and take your girl.
Like the Amazon robots.
Yeah. That's a different episode.
We have a different episode for the Amazon robots. It'll be coming soon. Maybe a little bonus episode.
Yeah.
So how have you been? How have you been doing, buddy?
Me?
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for that question. How have I been? I've been busy, man. Just been busy. Just been getting on with my life and just creating, really, in different aspects. I mean, the podcast is one thing, but also at work. And it's been. I'm getting ready to go to Mexico with my girlfriend in April. I say I'm getting ready. I mean, she's getting ready. I'm observing.
She's doing a lot of getting ready.
Yeah. She likes it, so I let her do it.
Perfect.
Amazing. Yeah. How about yourself?
Yeah, I've been good. I've had a good week. I feel like I've really got really good energy for life right now. Been kind of busy. Weekend was nice. So I saw my little sister in a performance down at the Vault. She was amazing. So yeah, just really feeling quite energetic today and feeling very, being ready to just like assimilate some information to people.
So to begin with then, and this is something that people say, nice guy. And even you were saying, as we were discussing this topic, about a girl that you know who was saying she likes nice guys. And then I was like, but straight away, what's obvious is, what does that mean for her? What does it mean for you? What does it mean for me? Everyone says nice guy and they have a generalistic view, but I'm pretty sure that even nice guys are not even clear what it means to be a nice guy. So we define nice guy here today as guys who are loving, caring, interested in a woman, supportive of the woman, and very emotional.
Kind.
Yeah.
Giving. Have we said giving?
Yeah.
Generous. Altruistic. All those good words.
Yeah. But I'd also say, I think classically, nice guys are seen as the ones who are supplicating.
Yeah, that's the word. It's like kind of bending over backwards.
Yeah.
Doing anything just to be liked. I think that's a big part of the kind of nice guy, inverted commas, air quotes, commas. Who ever heard of air commas? Air quotes is, that thing you think of nice guys is like the guy who meets a girl in a bar and he's like, oh, do you want a drink? He buys her a drink and then he gets her a chair and then he holds her coat and just kind of agrees with everything that she says. That kind of niceness.
What really underpins it, and I just get a sense here, of it all, is because a lot of nice guys will be like, oh, I'm the nice guy, and she doesn't, she says she wants nice guys and I'm nice and she doesn't want me. And what underpins it is this idea that they are wholesome and caring, as you said, altruistic in that respect. They have no concern for themselves and all the concern for the woman that they desire. And it really pisses them off when they are so caring and giving and loving and attentive, and they get cast aside for what is decidedly a bad boy. Bad boy. And so in order to define a nice guy, we'll define the opposite as well. What is the definition of a bad boy? And so, well, in opposition to a nice guy, a bad boy is normally seen as someone who doesn't care, isn't sweet and I don't know, I was going to say caring again. But, he does what he wants, and overall looked upon by others as a man who treats women badly.
Yeah. He's selfish, maybe narcissistic, maybe even, you know, just these kind of traits that you look at bad boys. It's like, you know, I always think of is, do you remember, what was that movie? Oh God. There's like a biker boys and the girls in Pink Ladies. What's that movie? God, it was on a lot when we were kids. I can't remember the name.
Yeah. I think I know
John Travolta.
Yeah, I know the song, but I can't.
God.
Remember. Tell me more.
That film, but you guys know that film.
I don't know, but I don't know the name. Grease. There you go.
So, and I always think of John Travolta's character as kind of being portrayed as a bit of a bad boy, really, wasn't he? Like in the film, but actually, he's not a bad boy, really. You know, he's super sweet and super nice and wants to dance and sing, which, you know, I think is pretty, it's pretty nice.
Not many guys today.
It's the straight way to get to women's heart, singing and dancing.
So in this episode, then we want to talk about nice guys. We want to talk about the problems that as we defined it, typically nice guys face, and then we want to go through 7 things that self-professed nice guys can do to actually get the girl.
Yeah, there's just kind of to still stay nice, but actually create like a more kind of wholesome way in which they're being nice, and that actually works for them in terms of meeting women and attracting women.
Yeah. And what comes to me now actually is just a really simple idea as well, is that nice guys see themselves as caring and they see it as bad boys as uncaring. And I think really you can really distill down nice guy versus bad boy as caring versus uncaring. But actually, I think it goes a lot deeper than this.
Yeah.
And so, like, I guess we could explore, like, what is it that bad boys are doing that's getting them the girl? Yeah.
Do you want to get into that first?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
So I think the thing with, let me speak for myself actually here. Like, I wouldn't have never necessarily said that I was a nice guy in this context that we're talking about. Definitely not, actually. But I wouldn't say that I'm not. And I'd say maybe 10 or so years ago, I'd have said I'm a bit of a bad boy. But I've come to see that actually I'm a nice guy. I have certain boundaries and I have certain thoughts and feelings and ideas. But I would say, what was the question?
I was just describing, like, why is it bad boys are perceived to having more success with women than nice guys?
I think it's because they kind of get what they want. And it seems that they're not being nice. They're not being kind. They're not being, you know, gentle and agreeable and things like that. They're kind of doing what they want, being selfish. You know, they may be in a club and they might start talking to a girl and take her phone number, and then 10 minutes later go and talk to another girl and take her phone number too. And some girls will be like, oh, he's a player. That means he's a player. But actually, does that mean he's a player, or does that just mean that, you know, he's sociable? He's talking to people in the bar. You know, or equally, I'm trying to think of another bad boy scenario. I can't think of any. Maybe you've got one better than me.
Well, no, you know, from what you're saying and what I was thinking of as well is it's like an economic principle of scarcity and value. Like they are, you know, because they're not caring or they're not around as much or they're not giving the woman as much attention. Yeah, they're scarce in their availability, and they're valuable because loads of women seem to like them. Yeah, you know, they create that desire, that not being around, you know, so women chase them.
Or being like emotionally unavailable also kind of creates a certain level of scarcity. And also I think there's a big thing in there where women see a guy who they perceive as being bad, but they see like a good heart, or they see some really good traits in him, and they think, well, I want to be the one that wins him over, that fixes him, that, you know, tames the beast, you know. And I think that's something that's really in there as well for men and women. Bad girl Riri. As well.
So what I'm seeing then really is that what bad boys do very well is they have their own boundaries. They set the limits to what they're having in the experience, and that quality of, so it's nothing to do with being a bad boy, but rather it's a leadership quality. It's like, this is how I want the interaction to go.
Yeah.
And we'll break this down further later in the 7 points, but it's this idea that they are essentially doing what they would love to do in the way that they would love to do it. And they have a boundary in the interaction of what they're willing to accept and not accept, and really just directing the whole show.
It's basically creating the reality as they want it to be, right? It's in that way that, like, I'll take it back to kind of a bar scene, because I think it's an easy one for everyone to relate to. Is that guy who kind of walks in the bar, he may jump the queue. He may just jump the queue to get in the bar and just, like, you know, talk to the bouncer and walk straight in. People are like, oh, how could he do that? Go to the bar, he might even jump the queue at the bar and just be like, hey, I want a drink. And people are like, oh, who's this guy? He's inconsiderate, he's an arsehole. But he just wants to get in the club and get a drink. You know, and, you know, we might say those aren't nice traits, and they can be really irritating, especially you live in London, you go to a lot of bars and people jump. But equally, it's like, he's just willing to go for what he wants. And I think this is where we often look at people badly if they just go for what they want. And they can kind of treat everyone else a bit like cannon fodder, you know, like they just get swept up in their wake. But equally, they're just going for what they want and going for what they love, instead of being like, oh, I need to think about everyone else in all of my actions. Oh, I want to get a drink, but I don't want to upset anyone. I don't want to push into the bar queue. I don't, you know, there is a lack of consideration for other people to a degree, but it's because they see that what they want kind of comes first to them, which we'd all do a bit better in life if we put ourselves a bit more first instead of everyone else around us. And I think that's something we see in nice guys, actually, is a really good point there, is that nice guys often put other people's kind of concerns and wishes in front of their own, which isn't good for you.
And why do you think that is?
Because they want to be liked. And we see the fastest way to be liked is to give people what they want. But actually, people don't know what they want.
Well, I also feel that there is a slightly more insidious reason as well, is they do that because they're hoping by doing that, they're going to get the attention and love and validation for being that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, look at me, I'm good. So I'm doing this now. You in turn now will love me.
Yeah. It's like giving to receive, isn't it? It's not, and it's equally not, it's not really altruistic, is it? No. It appears to be so. Someone's being nice to you because you're like, oh, they're really nice, they're a nice person. But actually sometimes, and I've seen it with guys getting quite kind of really boiling up inside, where they're really nice to a girl, they're nice to a girl, and they're nice to a girl, a woman, nice to a woman, nice to a woman. And then the woman's kind of like, oh, well, I'm not really interested. They get very angry and like, what a bitch. Who is she? You know, I was so nice to her, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, whoa, dude, I thought you were nice because you wanted to be nice. But actually, underneath the niceness is you're being nice because you want something. And like, that's your intention. And I'm a big believer that your intention is really transmitted through your actions.
Yeah, and what comes to me is that it's a self-perpetuating sense of injustice. Yeah, they get to be a victim inside of. We've really gone off in a different way here, but they get to be a victim inside of. I've done all these wonderful things, and no one cares. Yeah, the world is unfair. Yeah, and I'm a victim of
Poor
this.
Me.
Yeah, I'm a victim of all this.
Let's get the violins out because I'm a nice guy and the world's treating me badly. Oh no, woe is me. Oh no. I'm sorry guys, like if you think you're a nice guy and you think you fit into this, actually if you do think you fit into what we're saying, like you're being nice, like really look into why you're being nice to people. Like I do nice things to people all the time, but equally sometimes people ask me to do things and I'm like, nah man, fuck off. And I'm not being an arsehole, it's just I don't want to do it. You know, like, you know, I'll give old ladies chairs on the tube. The other day I was on the tube, I think I was going to work or coming home from work. And I saw this guy sitting on one of the end seats and a pregnant woman got on and was standing right above him and he didn't really look. And I literally kept pointing at the guy till he got my attention and he couldn't really understand why I was looking at him. And then he actually tapped the pregnant woman, right? As if I wanted to speak to her. And then I just went badge. And he looked up, saw the I am baby on board badge and stood up and let the woman sit down. Now, I was doing that because that's just the right thing to do for me. You know, I didn't gain anything from it, right? But yeah, if he hadn't sat up, he hadn't done anything, it's like, well, you know, that's fine equally. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't doing that for her to like me, and I didn't even really look at her for her to smile at me or give me thanks or whatever. But someone who's doing something nice just to get something back would be looking for some sort of return in that exchange, in that transaction. It's very transactional, I think, sometimes, the niceness.
And I think the important thing to hear is for anyone who associates with being a nice guy and they can hear this, then the important thing is to understand that if this is what you're doing, that obviously this is not very effective. And I think the other, I say it keeps saying the important thing here, but I think the main thing about this is that it's not an effective strategy, and it's well worth recognizing and becoming aware of that behavior and how it doesn't serve in regards to what you're going after. And in this case, it's going after validation.
Yeah.
And you know, what brought this up for me is how David said about there are certain guys that not necessarily pushing to get to the front of something, but they'll just go to what they want because they know. It's a bit like when you get to a cross junction and none of the traffic lights are working.
Unibomber.
The Unibomber?
Oh no, sorry, it's a different case.
So no, this is when traffic lights aren't working and you've got like a, what do they call it? It's a cross junction. Yeah, and you'll see the meek people versus the people that just go, because the meek people are like, oh no, like who
should go? They're looking for permission.
Yeah, and then other people like myself, who've been living in London for a while, will just go, right, I need to take this and go and go through, and there you have it. You know, so other people could be waiting a long time for someone else to repay them the favor, or they can just take the opportunity. And it's not about being an arsehole.
No, it's just about going for what you want. And I really see this, and think about this in terms of niceness, in terms of like approaching women, and in your dating, it's going to be, you see a woman somewhere and you're like, oh, but she's talking to her friends, I don't want to disturb them. Oh, I don't, she looks like she's, I don't know, happily listening to her music on her headphones or something like that. And it's like, that's being overly nice. What would you really love? You'd love to go and talk to the woman. Well, you just get over there, There's no, oh, I don't want to upset, I don't want to disturb. That whole kind of thinking is just being overly nice and thinking that someone else's thoughts about you are more important about your own thoughts about yourself.
Again, it's around leadership. So then what we come to really is that being a nice guy doesn't mean that you can't have boundaries or that you have to be agreeable in every scenario. And so why a lot of nice guys think being nice doesn't win, by and large, is because they're too eager to please. Yeah. They're giving away too much attention and time, and they're really not having a focus on their own life and the things that they would love to do.
And they don't value their own opinion. They value the opinion of other people, of themselves, over their own opinion of themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see, none of these things has anything to do with caring and not caring.
Yeah.
It's totally to do with your personal projection of your ability to, and volition to go for what you want.
Yeah.
And your deservedness of going for what you want.
You deserve to have what you want.
Yeah. Like whether it, and I guarantee you, on a Friday night in a bar, if you're meek, you will not be able to get a drink for an hour or two.
Yeah.
If you're just waiting for someone to let you, whereas
to give you permission.
If you're at the bar, and I've many a time, you just got to go,
and
make your space.
Yeah.
And sure, if a girl wants to get in, you'd be nice, you let them in, but you got to make a space and go for it. Because in some places, that bartender, they're looking for the people that are standing out.
Yeah, exactly.
And so many nice guys, I'm doing the air quotes, don't want to stand out, don't want to put themselves forward. They want to be the nice one and hope that the universe is going to bestow upon them love and gratitude.
He's going to bless them for their niceness.
Yeah.
And God will shine lights down upon them and bless them with everything they deserve for their niceness. He laughs. It's a hearty laugh.
Well, look, I was very shy when I was young, and over time, I learned it's very exciting to go for what you want because you actually want it. And whether it was walking into a group of girls and saying hello to the one I wanted to speak to, or it was, like I said, at the bar, even knowing how to walk through a crowd in a club, and being able to just kind of stand out and just do that and enjoy myself, because then the whole world became a playground. It wasn't this kind of scarce little place that I had to be.
Let me not upset people.
Yeah, tread carefully, or oh no, they're having a one of the biggest excuses for guys not going in to talk to women in a bar is like, oh no, but they're having a conversation. So I'm not gonna go in.
I don't want to disturb their conversation.
Yeah, and valid. Yeah. Right. Absolutely valid point that yes, they're having a conversation. However, if you're going to wait until they're done and I don't know at what point they're going to be done having a conversation.
Exactly.
You may as well just go home.
Yeah. And it's like, I look at it this way is, if you walked over to a woman and you interrupted her conversation with a friend and you're the man of her dreams, you know what? I think she would be okay with you interrupting her and her friend.
Yeah, I've seen it happen many a time, Dave. I've watched you do it. I've watched me do it.
Yeah.
And it's, and funny enough, it's almost like they're just having that conversation so to fill the time until you come over and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, hello, very nice to meet you. I'm so glad you came over.
Yeah. So, I've been waiting for you all night.
In some cases, they actually do say that. So what to do then to get the girl as a nice guy?
Yeah, so what it is, if you're a nice guy and if you really resonate with a lot of the things we said about nice guys in terms of, being supplicating and doing nice things because you think it's going to get you what you want, like it's really worth going, okay, cool. We've got some fucking hit points here.
Seven
hit points. They're going to get you out of that world and just, what's the word? I want to just say like, create some, I'm really holding my fist strongly here.
Shaking the fist.
Like just create some strength around yourself and who you are.
Yeah, and these are guidelines, I could say, as in to help you create that strength.
Yeah, especially like guidelines. I mean, there's no rules, but these are guidelines, and use them and then break them once you understand them.
So then number 1 we mentioned earlier, and it was about having boundaries.
So this one is like this could be like when you're dating a woman and she says something that you just think's fucking out of order. She might say something that's, I don't know, you think is racist maybe. We're a brown man and a black man sitting here, and I've been on dates with women and they've said things and I'm just like, whoa, like fucking hell, that's not on. Or like, why are you saying that? Where in the world is that cool to say? And, that's quite a kind of confronting thing to do. But my boundaries are is like, I love to be, peace and love to all men and accepting of people. Like, and I'm willing to kind of go, actually, no, my boundary lies there, and say, boom, that's my boundary.
Yeah. And equally, I mean, that's like on topics and things you disagree or agree with. And then also it's in how you live your life or what you choose to do, or how you're spending your time. Like if someone says you're not giving them enough time, or you spend all your time doing work, and obviously there are things you can compromise on, but there's certain things that for yourself that you love doing, or maybe you are giving loads of time to your girlfriend or to a woman, but she is demanding more and more. And I see it so often. I had a friend once who was like, oh, this girl's texting me back, but it's annoying. I was like, why? Because she texts too much. I'm like, why is that annoying? And he's like, because I have to reply. And I was like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You can reply, absolutely reply, but you don't have to reply immedely.
You reply whenever the time is good for you to reply. Whenever you're, replying to text messages is a big thing. And I say, I think in one of our past episodes, I talked about how I used to reply in twice as long as they took to message me. But now, when it comes to text messages, I reply when it's a good time for me to reply. And very rarely is that straight away. Sometimes it is straight away. But sometimes I'm working, I'm making a podcast, I'm on the tube, or I might just be meditating like in the morning. And it's all in my good time.
Cool. So number 2 is nice guys often don't want to lead, but want to please. So the idea here is leading. Dave, you had a story.
Yeah, I got a story. It's one of the things that I often do when I'm arranging dates with girls is that, I see that the dynamic in terms of men and women is that women generally would like men to lead. When it comes down to it, often as a guy, you're approaching women, or you're making the first move, whether it be online dating, sending the first message, saying, hey, how are you? I like your profile. Where are you in that picture in your bikini? That beach looks amazing, or whatever it may be you say. But you're making the first move. It's just how our society works, especially in the UK here and in the States. I know across Europe it's a bit more forward thinking in my opinion, but this is the standard where it is. So as a man, you need to be willing to lead and be like happy and be comfortable in leading. And that might just be arranging a date with a girl. You've got a number, or you're talking on an online platform and be like, hey, we should meet up. Boom, that's you leading. And go, actually, I know this really great bar. It's called Florists Fancies. Like, let's go to that bar. It's some great drinks, and then maybe we can see what we fancy doing afterwards. There's a gallery around the corner, I know, it's quite cool. And that's just leading. That's just going, boom, let's do these things. Instead of being like, oh, would you like to go on a date with me? Would you like to go out sometime? That's the worst line a man can say for me. It's like, would you like to go out sometime? That's like meekly going, please, would you like to spend time with me? Please. Yeah, really got into that.
Yeah. Cheers, Dave. So the other thing I'd say about that as well is, and where I feel Dave is coming from as well, is actually going with what you feel was a good idea, not just asking for their request because you don't want to say something and have them disagree with you. So you just want to be agreeable.
Agreeability, I think, is one of the is a huge sexual mood killer for a woman. A man just being agreeable all the time, you know.
And that takes us on to point 3, which is polarizing. Nice guys often don't cause enough varied emotion in a women. And that's got a lot to do with, again, back to boundaries, but also opinions and having like your own opinions, your own values and what you believe in.
Yeah. Yeah. Like even, you know, you might be polarizing and you might just be willing to say, I don't know, what's an example? How am I polarizing? What do I do?
You like talking about sex?
Oh yeah, shit, I like talking about sex.
Very early on.
Yeah. Like I'm really happy talking about sex with a woman, and you know, some women find that quite confronting and they think it's quite forward, but equally, you know, it's something I like to talk about. And actually, in a way, for me, it's like, well, if I'm spending time with a woman and she doesn't like talking about sex, then if she's not comfortable with that, for me, that doesn't kind of go in line with who I am as a person and how I see the world and how I see myself sexually. So it's like, okay, if that's not cool with you, then fine. Or if, for instance, like if I talk to a woman and I want to talk about kind of spirituality and consciousness and awareness and being accepting of people in the world, if a woman's not kind of into that kind of conversation, then again, for me, it's like, that's my opinion, they're my thoughts and my feelings. Or if people are like judgmental, you know, I would be willing to go, why are you being so judgmental? Like, we're all just trying to live out here and trying to enjoy our lives. Like, you know, we all have our reasons for doing the things we do. Like, I'm willing to kind of have those bold statements of my thoughts.
It's really important then from that perspective that we share our true self and what is real for us and how we like to live. And this is where like nice guys may go, oh, but that topic is too much. And
I don't want to be like the bad boys. I don't want to be sleazy. I don't want to come across pushy or anything like that. But actually, it's doing a huge disservice because you're not creating any sort of emotional peak. Even saying something that someone really doesn't like, but yet you can kind of explain why you think that way or that's your opinion and you have a good argument for it, right? Is something that people admire you for because you'll stand by what you believe.
Cool. So number 4 is don't shower women with loads of attention especially when you hardly know them. That scares them away.
Yes.
I think that one's quite obvious, but at the same time, it's this again with this nice guy and with everything else we've said, although we haven't specifically put down this as a strategy, but have your own life. And when you're giving so much attention, it's also an indication that really you don't have much else going on for you in your life that you can be so consumed by a woman, and especially when you barely know her.
Go on.
I was going to say, when you barely know her early on, and you're giving so much affection and attention, and
it just kind of screams of you are spending all your time thinking about them. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you've been on one date with someone, you barely fucking know them, you know? I feel like I barely know some people after knowing them for 6 months. After one date, sometimes, you know, I know you can have some really beautiful connections in a date. Like I know that. Like I've really felt that. But it's like in this kind of city life that most of us are living, you're going on a date, it's 3 hours, there's probably too much small talk, there's probably not much kissing, there's probably not much deep kind of connection. And then just because you've seen her and she's attractive to your eyes doesn't mean that, you know, she's the most amazing person in the world. You don't quite know her that well yet. And it's like, actually, it takes a lot of time for most people to really get to know each other. You know, we're talking like, is it something, you know, I used to think that it was 8 hours minimum time spent together where you can really get to know each other. So, you know, just have other things in your life that you're doing, your work, your friends. You know, we got a really good episode. Our last episode's about, second to last episode was about kind of creating a men's group, and having that again can give you perspective because you're doing other things with yourself and in your life. Yeah,
and spending time and actually having your own life and knowing your own want to say purpose, but it's actually more about just how you live and what you're up to. It brings a lot more to the relationship when you've got stuff going on, as opposed to you've got nothing else going on other than work and then this girl.
Yeah, and it
watching
just
TV.
means that what you're probably doing is going to work, thinking about her all day, then coming home and sitting in front of your Netflix or sitting with your phone and waiting for her to message you. And every time she messages you, you message straight back. And you're kind of creating this fantasy of what she's like and what you two could be like. And you've only been on 1 or 2 dates. And then you're kind of like, oh, she's amazing. But actually, you're falling in love with your fantasy.
And this reminds me of something that we learned a long time ago, which is it's very easy for a woman to have that in their, like, imagine in their mind how the rest of their life with you is going to be, just from that very early interaction. Because if that's how you are, then they can imagine, well, you're going to be constantly suffocating them with attention. They're never going to have the space to be free to do what they want. And well, I say do what they want, I mean like to live their life and, you know, just have their own independence.
And have freedom.
Yeah. So the 5th point is don't be afraid to be sexual.
Yeah. So we kind of touched on this before with boundaries and polarization, but it's something that I think nice guys, and you know, I've seen them, we've coached them before, guys who are nice. They're nice. They got great hearts. They're lovely guys. But equally, they don't want to be kind of put into that box of being creepy and sleazy. And I get that. Like no guy wants to be creepy or sleazy. But I'm gonna kind of put something out there that might kind of offend some people. Is you need to be sleazy. In a way, it's better that you're sleazy than you're fucking, you know, you're not existing as a sexual being. That's my opinion. You know, because, you know, we've all got some sleazy mate. Like I can think of 1 or 2 sleazy mates I know, and they regularly get girls and they have girlfriends, and you know, they might be classed as sleazy in clubs. One of my friends, he has regularly been kicked out of clubs for doing things that I don't necessarily approve of, but they are quite sleazy. But equally, he gets girls, right?
Friend, you say?
Oh, yeah, my friend.
A friend is someone you know. An acquaintance.
Once or twice we met.
Not me.
No, never. No. But equally, it's like, and this is where nice guys are like, oh, I don't want to be sleazy. I don't want to, you know, but it's actually, you're a sexual being. Like, you can communicate through your actions.
Question. Just, I'm concerned that some people may not understand what you mean by sleazy.
Yes. So sleazy. Okay. So sleazy is like, the other end of sleazy is like guys that kind of go around clubs grabbing girls' asses. I don't approve of that. I don't think it's the right way to be. I'm not telling you to go out and do that because it's not right. You know, there's the whole world of consent and things like that, which I'm big into. But equally, some guys might be like, oh, I shouldn't touch a woman if I'm talking to her, like I'm making a point, or, you know, touching her on the arm, or if you're kind of midway through conversation, you know, you may say something that's quite suggestive or provocative or something like that. And that can be, you know, seen as being kind of sexual. And just existing as a sexual being, realizing that you're 2 human beings and you're both made through the act of sex by your parents, as much as you really don't want to think about that for too long. But that's how it went down. So in that way, be willing to kind of, you know, be in touching someone and things like that.
Yeah, what I can add to that is something we used to talk about a lot back in the day, before we never used, until we had to not really think about it ever again, is that unless you're directly and forwardly being openly rather being sexual, then the other person doesn't know that you have that level of interest in them. And again, I can from my cultural background and how I was raised, and, you know, not to touch women, not to look at women, very much like an Indian cultural thing. And what that robs a guy of is, number one, his true just expression of how he actually feels. thinking that it's going to benefit him, like he's going to come across as this nice guy that is not dirty like those other men. However, what he's not doing is evoking those sexual desires and emotions and reactions in a girl. And like the reason I said to Dave, can you define sleazy, was because, you know, sleazy can be seen in many different ways. And as David said, right, we're not advocating going out and being grabby
and manhandling women,
yeah,
or, you know,
slapping asses,
slapping asses or grabbing boobs or anything like that. These are all the things that we're not at all prescribing harassment and things like that.
But actually, it's actually being forward or being open would be a better way of saying it. Like we mentioned earlier, David openly, he enjoys speaking about sex. I don't mean openly talking about, he enjoys it in the sense that he enjoys his own sexuality. He enjoys sex. I think we all do. I don't necessarily go and talk about it openly as freely, I would have to say, in a social setting as David does. But you see, with the level of comfort that David brings to the table with that, people accept it. It's because, you know, as we just said, it's something, you know, it's how we were all born. It was through the act of sex. It's how it, well, for most of us. I know there are some out there that came through, I'm not sure what the correct term is.
What are you thinking? Divine intervention?
Aliens.
Aliens.
No, I'm just thinking, you know, there are
test tube babies.
Is that, I don't know, is that correct? But I don't know. Are we going to get some sort of legal? We have to get onto a lawyer about that.
Please contact us at hello.
If you're a lawyer, if you are a lawyer, please contact us and let us know.
At authenticdancers.com.
Yeah, but my point is here, and this was a massive learning for me, is unless you're willing to express your desire, your sexual desire, your innate human desire, then another person can just think you're being a friend.
Yeah, just being friend.
Yeah, and then you know, you never went to kiss, you never went to even touch them, hold their hand. They just think you're being nice.
Yeah, and equally, you know, it's on the flip side of this is that you could be talking to a woman at, say, I don't know, you're at a seminar somewhere and you're talking to her, and because you never initiate any sort of, you know, sometimes something sexual can just be as light as leaning against someone, you know, and it's just like allowing their energy to be there. If you never do that, they're left feeling like, oh, maybe you didn't really like me then.
Well, you know, as you say that, right, and I was going to say that sounds pretty advanced, like the leaning, but actually, because it is something that, again, what I said today, can you define sleazy? Because really, it's sex and sexual vibe and how you express that isn't just in touching, isn't in being dirty or saying stuff that you think is dirty. It's actually a vibe that it's an energy, a vibe from within, and when you're free, you are just casually you're casually sexy, just sexy, like, and this is actually where, you know, you have women who say, I don't dress like that for men, I dress like that for me, because they feel sexy. They love to feel sexy. I mean, men love it too, and just being comfortable, like wearing. I think for me personally, it's when I'm on holiday in a hot country, I don't really get that vibe here in the UK, feeling sexy, wearing fucking 50 layers of clothes to stay warm. But you know, like when you're in a hot country or something, you just feel free, got a loose shirt on, some shorts, you're just chilling, feeling sexy, man.
I think we had a whole episode about this, actually, communicating your sexual desires. Episode 4 or 5. I think it's episode 5. Actually, no, I think it is definitely episode 4, where we talked about communicating your sexual desires, and we go into a lot more detail in there about this. And I think it's a really good episode, obviously, because we made it. But this kind of communicates that, you know, you can go back to the episode and listen to that in detail, and it will really kind of help you get into how to kind of communicate your desires in that way. But like equally to what AJ said, is like, you know, just feeling sexy. Like, you know, I said to you the other week, we were out with a friend of ours for dinner, and I was just like, man, I feel really attractive right now. And you know, it's really just how I felt in that moment. And it's like, actually, sometimes you could look at yourself in the mirror, what you're wearing, and be like, man, I feel good. I look good today, you know? And it's like, you kind of ooze that out of you.
Yeah. And so, you know, just to round off that point then, it's about being free to express that and not feeling like you need to hide that, because by somehow hiding it, you become a better person. You don't. You become invisible.
Yeah, you become a non-sexual being, like a table.
A friend. A best friend.
So the next one is something that nice guys. Number 6. that nice guys aren't always willing to do or don't do is be willing to stand out from the crowd. So one of the things I was talking to you about this earlier when I cooked some lovely dinner, a bit of pasta and purple sprouting broccoli and some mackerel, and they're saying how, you know, a lot of guys, we're talking about fashion in this sense, a lot of guys just want to kind of wear things that allow them to just blend in with everyone else. And I was like, this is kind of the worst thing you could ever do. We got the conversation because we saw this guy on the street, and there's a guy I see near where I live. If you're a listener, you're a fucking gangster, because I love how he just wears this flamboyant clothes every time I see him, and I probably see him a few times a week. And he's multiple colors, things like one leg rolled up, different hats. He stands out. The guy stands out. There's no way. You could probably do a poll of the shops between my house and the station, and I reckon that maybe at least 40 to 50% of the people remember this guy.
He's on his own vibe.
He's on his own vibe.
There's no one who's even wearing anything slightly even close to what he had.
And it's the willingness to kind of stand out and be bold in how you look, or maybe in the things that you say, and not just kind of be doing everything else, just not making an effort to blend in because you don't want to stand out, when actually standing out, being, and even saying like, kind of, I'm going to do this in air quotes again, is like being weird is one of the best things you can ever do for your dating life, because you stand out from the crowd of the sea of bland other men that exist.
It's actually a phenomenon, in fact, that so often I guess because at school, like when we're young and stuff, we get picked on when we stand out. Yeah. And so very easily, or very quickly rather, we decide that's not the way to live life. And then we become like a more plain version of ourselves. But then yet when you look at celebrities, what do they do more than anything else is they stand the fuck out. Yeah. Like they constantly, you know, like I'm just thinking of Black Eyed Peas, for example, right? Yeah. Because that's what this guy looked like. The guy on the street looked like.
Yeah, this guy could be like will.i.am or.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, definitely.
It just audacious, just brave, bold. Brave's not the word. It's just bold. Yeah. Just straight bold, just straight there. He wasn't unapologetically him. Yeah. He's just there. And the patterns and actually the thing that I find phenomenal, and this is taking it to another level, is when you are free in yourself and willing to stand out. It doesn't matter what you wear or what you do, because you're comfortable with that. Then kind of like what I was saying about Dave and talking about sex, and it's a great example because actually it's a very taboo thing in society still, 2019. You know, we're 100 years away from the 1900s and 200 from the 1800s.
Good maths there.
Yeah, quick maths. Probably, yeah, it's good maths. It's taken me a long time on being on this planet to figure these things out. But, you know, people are still like shouldn't, you know, they feel they shouldn't, but actually it's becoming more and more acceptable, right? But the point being is that you stand out. Like, it's not just about clothing. It's also about communication. It's also about... Well, what else is about? Clothing and communication. Your being, like how you are, the things you do with yourself as well. Yeah, true. You know, the actions that you take, the things that you do in your spare time, even your job can be bold, you know. It can be a willingness to stand out. Like instead of, you know, maybe you choose not to go and have an office job like 90% of people do, and you decide to be, I don't know, a circus performer or something. Or a podcast creator. Yeah. You create a podcast about dating and sex. Like, see, the funny thing is, like, when we recount over these things and we think about it, we often overlook our own self and what we do that stands out, because we just think this is just what we do. Yeah, like, you know, I can rule off a list of things I think that make me stand out as a person in my life. Like, you know, like I've traveled extensively, you know, and I did that because I wanted to do that, and I find it really interesting to do. I've traveled on my own quite a lot. I have my own flat here, and even in my flat, I'm looking at my plants that I have that I just bought because I wanted some plants in here, you know. It makes my place stand out, and I have a really dark blue wall, which if you go over to our Instagram, you'll see that we often use that when we're doing videos. And it's just like these things kind of stand out in my life, and even how I, you know, people often remark on how I dress and how I dress. I don't feel like I dress particularly flamboyantly, but some people do mark that as something that stands out. You know, we all have these things about us that will make us stand out, and we're just saying, don't hide it. Be weird, man. It gives you character. And I mean, we could really labor this point, but actually I do believe in previous podcasts we've gone into more detail in why this is important. as well, and just being yourself and being you. And it's a big theme of this podcast, really, is about that. And that actually takes us on to the final, but not the least point at all, which is taking pride in yourself and backing yourself in what you want to do. Essentially, having having confidence in who you are as a person. And so, to just the first piece, because this is a really big message of mine nowadays to anyone that I'm speaking to, and it's and really to myself, really, is taking pride in yourself. I've been on this planet for nearly 35 years. And I've been for quite a journey, like from being, as I said, like a self-confessed shy guy to like having to like be weird and go out and learn social skills and try weird things and do things that actually inevitably made me stand out. Like one of the things was I would do these challenges. I would be working in Camden. And during my lunch break, I would go out and talk to like 30 women. You still have time to get a sandwich and a drink.
And people say they don't have time to date.
Yeah. And it was crazy. Like, I'd be going up and doing like these different things to push my boundaries. And I look back at that now, and I'm like, whoa, wow, I'm really glad I did that. Like, I'm really glad I pushed that. Equally, having gone to China by myself, again, when I was relatively young, I look back sometimes like, damn, man, like, that's amazing that I just had the volition to just go, bang, I'm going to go do that.
Yeah.
And everything, when I look back now and I say take pride in yourself, is I see how those activities, those pursuits have led to me being who I am today. And it's really, so, and then everything about me, whether it's the ups or the downs, or the silly, or the good, or the proud moments, or the embarrassing moments, have all led to who I am today. And genuinely being someone who, I can still have my ups and downs, I can still have my moments of insecurity, but all of that adds to a quality of being able to relate to other people. I'm really good at teaching other people and expressing ideas and understanding. Even in this topic, nice guys, like I used to be. Why I understand it so well and why I described it so well earlier is because I understand from my own experience of that's what I was doing like very early on without even realizing, oh yeah, I'm nice. I don't want to be like those guys who are like the bad guys, and I want to be good and I'm going to be loved for being good. And then actually, that's not what, as we've discussed this already. So then, but who I am today and what I enjoy doing or what I'm getting involved in, anyone who questions me about it, it's cool. They can question me and they can disagree. But overall, I'll always be like, well, I love who I am and I love what I'm doing. I like doing this podcast. It's really cool. I work in a family business. I'm learning a lot there. And I also, creating either a movie script or a comic book script at this point. And it's a funny thing. It's just like to have come from such a kind of closed background to then just opening up and just being like, boom, here we are. Yeah.
No, that's beautiful, man. I almost don't have anything to say after that, because I think that really just tied in everything about this point about having pride in yourself and kind of what it means to us. But it's equally, just the only thing I'd like to kind of speak into there is like, be proud of your successes, your failures, your mistakes, your joys, because they all kind of create who you are today. Sorry, Emma just dropped his iPad on the floor.
Dropped it. So.
And it's just, it all builds up into who you are now. And it's like, you might have had a rough childhood or you might have had a rough past relationship, but it's all brought you to be the person that you are today, and have pride in the person who you are now and move forward from there. You may not be in the place that you ultimately want to be in life, but be proud of where you are right now and who you are now, and look for the good things in yourself and go, yeah, I'm this way because of these past events and they've made me into the man I am today.
Cool. And on that note, then, today's exercise, I would say, is taking into account that the 7 points that we've just said and what we just finished up on in terms of taking pride in yourself. Have pride in who you are and what you like and what you enjoy, and take a moment to think about what are your boundaries, like what are you willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. What are your experiences? What do you enjoy about yourself? How do you want to express yourself? What things do you like doing? And really start to take pride in the whole character, that it's not something you have to go and add more to yourself. It's more, have a look at who you are today and what you actually have, and recognize where perhaps you're not pursuing your own life in the way that you would want to, for fear of standing out, but you'd actually want to do something. You know, I can definitely see for David, you know, you've been going to a lot more men's groups and different activities. It's just something that, you know, because you came back from traveling and you got back into the working game and just back into the UK life. But now you're like, you know, you're out doing like these different events and stuff. And, you know, even for me, I'm at a point where I'm actually going out less, but I'm spending more time focused on things I want to create.
Yeah.
You know, but it's still spending time on what, you know, so there's different things, and like life's constantly shifting and changing. So the exercise here is to take a moment to really think about your life and what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, who you are, what you've been through. Dave said the ups and the downs. Write it down.
Yeah.
Take a moment to write it down. I would say at least, you know, 2 sides of A4 minimum,
Yeah.
you know, to really get that out and then be proud of your journey. You may not feel like you're happy with it all, but I guarantee you'll look back in the future and say, this is what made me who I am today. And you can join the dots, you know, going back. You can never see where you're headed.
Yeah. And this is a fucking perfect exercise, you know, because you look at your life and be like, oh, all these things happened to me, and this great things and bad things. Like, you know, if you sat me down and asked me to write out, you know, and this is how I'd kind of maybe think to structure it, is like, you think of some of the worst moments of your life, you know, because we've all got some bad moments in our life. You know, I've had some breakups that fucking break my heart. I've had, you know, some times when I traveled that were really, really tough on me, actually. But equally, I've had some extremely joyful moments in my life as well. You know, write those down and just kind of sit with them for a while and look at kind of how that's brought you to here. Because equally, we don't always think about these things, or we try and hide them from people. And I'd only kind of add on to the exercises, actually share some of this stuff with some people in your life. Like maybe some friends that you've never spoken to these things about, or maybe even one of your parents, because it would just really add a level of deeper connection between you and the people that you share it with.
So yeah, when you're done with this exercise, we would really love to hear what you learned. You don't have to tell us everything that you wrote down. That would take far too much time for us to go through, as much as we'd love to for every single person. But if you could just message us and let us know what you learned from the exercise, that, you know, you kind of walked away with feeling like, yeah, I didn't really see that about myself before. So, and you can leave it as a comment on our Instagram, which is @AuthenticDatingSeries, or you can email us at hello@authenticdatingseries.com. And that's the main thing, really. Yeah. That's it.
So we'll just give a little recap actually on what we kind of went over today. So we kind of defined what a nice guy is, and we defined what a bad boy is. And we talked about why kind of nice guys don't win, because, you know, they're very eager to please. They're looking for attention, supplication, and they don't really have that much going on in their lives, and they don't value their own opinion of them. They value other people's opinions of them over the opinion of them they have of themselves.
Well, and not to forget as well that that point we made, for anyone who recognizes that they use a nice guy facade or image in order to get attention from and validation from other people. And, you know, you may not have noticed that, but when you hear us say it, it becomes obvious to you. So that was a really important point as well. And I said to David actually as well, you know, this is something that I recognized in my own self. So,
yeah.
So there was that.
And then what you can do as a nice guy to get the girl. Like what actions can you take? What things you can change or improve in your life? The first one was having boundaries. The second one was to lead and not want to please. Polarizing, being willing to kind of polarize through emotion and stories and actions. Not showering women attention too early when you hardly know them. Not being afraid to be sexual, and not being afraid to be creepy as well, because, you know, to be sexual, you may be perceived as creepy sometimes. It's not your aim, but it might happen sometimes. Be willing to stand out, be bold with your communication, be bold in how you dress, and just kind of be bold in your life, you know, and the things you do and your activities and whatnot. And our last one is to take pride in yourself. So yeah, so that's everything for today, right? We just like to say, like, thank you for listening. Really love people enjoying the podcasts, and we're going to keep on making them because we love making them. But equally, if you've got a bit of time, it'd be really amazing if you could pop over to iTunes and give us a review, because it helps us kind of get seen, and it just helps more and more people kind of hear what we're creating. And yeah, and pass on to anyone you feel that would appreciate and enjoy our content, and even people who might be surprised that they enjoy it. Cool.
Ciao, guys.
Ciao.